Deprive the mind.
Deprive is the word?
Well, maybe it's better to let go of the craving. Because if you just deprive yourself of what you're craving, you're going to get even more suffering.
Or
so that's not a solution.
Deprive, but just avoid things that we crave deeply.
Oh, of course, as a beginner, and that's something we're going to talk about a little bit this evening, actually, in this evening session. Of course, as a beginner, knowing we have certain strong habits, a craving, anxiety, hatred, whatever the habit, knowing we have these certain strong tendencies, as a beginner, it's not helpful to unnecessarily put ourselves in situations where they get activated. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no use. It's not help. So that's what we're going to look at this evening. We're going to talk about short-term strategy. This can be an effective part of a short-term strategy. Is, you know, if there's certain people or events or things, whenever you come into contact with them, you get completely overwhelmed in a negative way, either by anger or craving or whatever. No point in unnecessarily putting yourself in those situations. It's just going to make it worse. Of course, running away is never a solution, but it could be an effective short-term strategy to step back, work on yourself, develop yourself so that later you can go into those difficult situations and not get overwhelmed. In fact, we always talk about conducive conditions in the spiritual path. And as a beginner, conducive conditions means this, is to give yourself good conditions, not all this negative stuff that overwhelms. Find nice friends and good conditions to practice. But later, as we develop in the spiritual path, what becomes conducive conditions is completely different. In fact, when we become more advanced, conducive conditions are exactly these situations. We actually have to go and search for these situations to test us to go further. But as a beginner, we don't want to do that because we can't handle it. We'll just get overwhelmed. But we're going to talk more about that this evening. Last question, then it's
I don't know how to ask it, but there are people that got enlightened like as one experience, from one experience or something that they suffer or...
No, I mean there is now, seems to be a lot of this talk about instantaneous enlightenment. What it really means, if it's talked about in an authentic way, it means that we can have a taste of emptiness instantaneously. That's what it means. It doesn't mean we're somehow this and we're suddenly enlightened. That never happens. That never happens. But we can have quite a profound experience. And even sometimes people have that without meditating. Hallucinogenics, going into nature, many things can a stimulus to have some authentic experience. I'm not saying direct realization of emptiness, but certainly have some experience where the grasping drops away somewhat.
Near-death experience.
Sorry?
The near-death.
Yeah, near-death experience. I mean, all of these sorts of things can be a very profound effect. And then from that, we can search out this in a more effective way by doing these practices. Because these sorts of experiences just come sort of sporadically from some sort of stimulus. So we want to be able to cultivate these experiences in a more effective, authentic way, and that's what this is all about. Shamatha, Vipassana, and so forth. Okay, let's break there for dinner and come back at 7:30. This evening, what I'd like to do is go back to this suffering as causes chart and have a look at an effective short-term strategy. What can we do right now to help us to reduce the impact of this? So that's this evening's topic. Let's have some dinner.